I'm going to kick things off by saying thanks so much for bombarding my interview with Josh Brolin. I mean, I love
What's going on?
Thank you, guys.
Denis, this movie's perfect. That was exactly my thought when it finished. I was like, I have no notes. This is a perfect film. You really set the bar high for part one. Did you know that you were going to stick the landing the way you did for this one?
Let's say that I was really inspired by the second part of the book. And that's where frankly, the meat was. For me, part one was more of a kind of a introduction, a kind of appetizer, and the main meal was part two. So I was dreaming, I was hoping, I was praying that we will have the chance to do the second part. And I worked hard with John Spade together in the screenwriting room to make sure that we will create the direct continuity of part one, but that we will still create an autonomous movie that could be seen, could be appreciated, could be understood without having seen the first part. So I was trying to have both qualities at the same time, but for me it was just really exciting to go back in a much more, let's say, muscular movie. The first movie was more contemplative, and I was a need as a director to go in something that would be more playful with more action. I was craving for that, honestly, for me.
Well, you mean action, you really brought it. There were so many shots in this movie where I was just in awe. It looks so amazing, and you have to see it on the big screen. But when you watched this back for the first time with the complete edit, was there a moment where you were just like, crushed it? This here is, I'm so proud of this shot.
It's like you are, as a director, you have to focus on details until the very last second. Okay, you cannot let it go. You have to focus, and there's just a moment when finally it's finished that you can finally see that all the ingredients are coming together, and but you have to be very, very severe and present until the last second. And let's say that I don't have a lot of distance with the movie right now. I've seen it 1,000 times, and I'm looking forward to seeing it at one of the premiere with an audience to feel how people react watching it.
You guys did have amazing scenes together. I'm sure so many people brought up that great fight choreography. Do you guys still remember how it goes now?
It's a great question.
Wow, nobody's asked us
that. Would be so sad to try it now.
Imagine if we tried that.
Well, it starts with you, lunging.
Yeah.
I would have the first couple down.
I feel like I'd have the first couple.
Go on.
Yeah.
It was a lunge and then an out lunge in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's just trying to kill each other.
Just trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
That'd be so sad. The Four Seasons in Los Angeles.
Yeah, we can't do that right.
I actually want to kick things off by saying Gurney Halleck's such a great name. In fact, I love the names of so many characters here.
Nobody ever said that. Yeah, it's cool.
Isn't it great? It's fun to say.
It is great.
But then there's like Duncan, Idaho, and Feyd-Rautha.
That's kind of the best name, Duncan, Idaho.
You think that's the best?
I do. I think it's the best because it sounds like a joke, and it's not. And then you see Momoa, and you think he's a joke, but he's not.
Who thinks he's a joke?
I do.
Why?
Because I think he's silly.
Are you
but I
just
think he's
picking
great.
fights with everyone on set now?
Why not? It just keeps things interesting, you know.
How is it picking a fight with the beast himself, Rabba?
I just saw him in the elevator.
Just size him up?
Well, no, but you get reminded by, first of all, like his presence and how big he is. But he's such a softie. It's like the biggest softie ever.
So you think you could take him?
Take him?
Yeah.
You mean like in a fight?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I would never want to fight him. He's one of those guys that you just want to like cuddle up with and curl up and just have a nice night.
Stepping into this role, how uncomfortable was it? Because Josh Brolin's just told me that you're the softest, nicest guy inside.
Yeah.
And in this movie, that ain't true.
No, but I think it wasn't uncomfortable. I think that's what makes it fun. I think that's the escapism. That's why I love acting. I don't want to play me. I want to play, despicable, layered characters. I want to play interesting characters, but I want to play characters that are just layered in emotion. And I want a character that I have to overly process because it allows me to perform. And I think roles like that, they don't come along very often. Not for guys like me, anyway, from a professional wrestling background who is typically just, people want to put me in a box, they want to put me in a lane. You're a professional wrestler, you are an action guy. You got to do action. And I don't want to do that, It's not like I'm completely opposed to that. But I seek out interesting roles that allow me to perform because I love acting.
There's something that happens in this movie that didn't happen in the book.
What?
This showdown
The showdown of...
with Beast Raban. Was it nice for Gurney Halleck to kind of have his moment?
It was a quick moment, which I like. I liked that it was when we prepared for it, because there was that big scene that I did before that was like, I wasn't sure if I could pull off, and the fight scene, and we did it in one shot and all that. And then Denis had me walk up, and then he said, so I'm ready for this big fight, it's gonna be a thing, and we're gonna have to rehearse it. And he said, no, you just do this, this, and that. Then it was over. And I felt like I got kind of, stiffed from a great kind of, but it wasn't. It was so quick and so kind of shocking that it's great.
What I really appreciated in this movie, having split it up into part 1 and part 2, you were able to expand the characters and give them more time to sort of marinate. Especially with the characters Chani and Irulan, they kind of exceeded what the book gave them. How was that bringing these characters to life far more than the source material allowed in the first place?
One of the idea there was to be closer to Frank Herbert's initial intentions, because he felt that when the book came out, people thought that Paul was a hero, but he himself wanted the character to be perceived as an anti-hero. And in order to correct that, he did a second book, like a kind of epilogue called Dune Messiah, to inform the audience that Paul was in fact a dark figure, and that the first book was a warning toward this dark figure, the coming of this dark figure. And knowing that, it informed me how to make this adaptation. I wanted to be faithful to Frank Herbert's initial intentions, and a way to do that was with the female characters. That helped me tremendously to go closer to what his intentions were.
Actually, I really love Chani's character because she's not a love interest at all. She's almost Paul's anchor.
Yeah.
But resents him because he is a part of this bigger prophecy that she doesn't quite believe. How fun was that?
Yeah, no, I think what I appreciate that Denis found within this story is allowing Chani to have a very, very strong perspective and heart that ultimately makes her very distrusting of Paul and what he represents. And so as an actress, it gave me something to play into, because now you're not just falling in love and everything is, happy and sunshine and rainbows. It's honestly it's a battle, I think, inside of her to allow herself to love someone like this. And it makes it more complicated, and the weight is bigger when she does open up herself to him.
With Princess Irulan, I love the fact that you got so much more than what was in the pages of the book. How was that expanding her role? Did you kind of lean into Denis' vision of it, or did you read the book and you're like, I can see where I can go with this character?
Both. I think it's always wonderful when there is a book behind a script, because you can pick out what you want to bring with you, what you want to leave behind. I think something that I really appreciated about the script was you really watch this woman grow in every scene that she's in, and you really get to understand that she is constantly on the edge of figuring out the thing that has been kept from her. And then also, you always have to trust your director, and you have to trust that they're going to lead you in all the right places. And Denis is just a fantastic person to work underneath, beside. Like, he truly, he feels very safe as a director. And I think coming into this world as any actor, it's so large, the characters are so large, the sets are so large, the world is so large. It's very wonderful having a director that anything you throw down, he's there to shape with you. And especially, that being the first movie that did so well and really just like got everybody buzzed about what was going to come next. It's very intimidating walking onto a set like that. So I really appreciated that what I had picked up from book and from script was allowed, and there's a ... which is a wonderful thing as an actor, to feel that it doesn't end here. It's going to keep growing.
I think that your transition from part 1 to part 2 has been nothing but exceptional. And I had a bit of a breakthrough moment with this character. Jessica in the start obviously was super pulled between Bene Gesserit and being a mother. and was often quite emotional. When she moved to the Fremen camp, I've recognised that there's so many points of being vulnerable and expressive that are actually now considered a waste of a resource. What was that like, knowing that, you know, Jessica used to emote and she can't even cry anymore?
And you know what? I believe in pushing emotions down and locking them up and throwing the key away. I think that's how we reason in general in life. You know, don't overanalyze feelings. But I think it's a very good question. You mean the waste of tears in general?
Literally cannot show or remove anything, any kind of vulnerability or expression. No,
Well,
yeah.
I nearly dropped a tear, but then, you know, someone licked it up. Bloody Nora. I was like, Javier, stop it.
Actually, speaking of Stilgar in this one, I think it's quite interesting how Denis decided to change some of the aspects of the book, and the relationship that Jessica has with Stilgar is different in this. How did you like sort of this newer version?
I like everything Denis does. I don't overanalyze it. I'm like, that's the script, great, buddy. Can I change this line, or can we do this? Or you want me to talk to my fetus? Absolutely. For you, anything. So it's the changes are necessary to work in a world today. But I read an article. I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to use all of your time. But we're talking about sort of bringing forth women and the empowerment of the female gender in general, you know, creating some form of equality out there. At the same time, there's a lot of people who don't feel like it actually is. So I always feel a bit confused as of if I'm on the pillar of rightfulness or the fact that we're just making a really good movie based on a script that's written by Denis Villeneuve. Do you know?
Well, I thought it did a really good job of like not being Stilgar's wife, but going straight to being a reverend mother.
I love that as well. But also we have something to build on later on. You know, who knows where we're going to end up? One doesn't.
I also loved the fact that Jessica struggles with sort of the more power that she gets. It's floating the line between sort of genius and madness. Especially with the power developments, yeah.
Do you feel that in life as well? Because I can feel you're a bit of a
Every
genius.
day, Jessica.
Very smart.
Am I incredibly smart, or am I bonkers?
I think there's a balance there. It's the threshold. I think what's fun is the constant change of characters in the film generates a new decision for someone else. You know, that kind of domino effect of, God, if we could just do what I want, life would be so much easier. But that doesn't happen. You know, your kid has to go in a different way. But what happens is the trajectory of these two people kind of meet anyway. You know, we just needed our own ways around it. It's fun. It's fantastic. I love the aspects. I love the gray zones. I always go for a gray zone.
Part one, we got the foundation. We learnt who Paul is. He suffered through loss, grief, survival. Now he becomes Muad'Dib. How was it bringing him and having him sort of elevate so much as a character? Because what I find fascinating is that he's so afraid of how powerful he can be.
Yeah.
So how was that?
It was cathartic and just a dream to get to be in a film of this size, but play somebody who's has such an inner tension, and for the right reasons, who's not power-driven, who's not power-hungry, who really is in love and wants to see that through more than any vision of being domineering, and sort of given a choice at some point to, at some point, selfishly continue on a more personal path or do what's right, you know, and stand up for people that have adopted him.
I find interesting as well your character, Feyd-Rautha, who is not at all afraid of power and the power that he has and the expansion of power. So how was that for you?
Well, I mean, it was one of the most fun times I've ever had with a character, because he there's so much room for play, you know, and from those first conversations with Denis, I knew that there was going to be, you know, a lot of possibilities of what we could do, and like you say, he's not afraid of power, and when somebody has an intense vision, it gives you a lot to work with. So it was a blast.
And it was also exciting as well, pinpointing his flaws as well. Like two wonderful words, desire and humiliation. How is that bringing that to life too? Yeah,
I mean, he's a kinky guy.
In this this, I loved that, you were introduced, the Baron is introduced to a relationship with someone new, his other nephew, Feyd-Rautha. How different does the Baron treat Feyd as he does to Beast Rabban?
Well, Feyd is a revelation. He knows Rabban from the beginning, and he is the natural heir. But he misbehaves, and he doesn't take care of Arrakis and the spies and everything. And then he gets his eyes on Feyd-Rautha, and he falls in love with him in a way. I mean, it's he is overshadowed by him in a way, and Austin Butler is doing a wonderful job, I think. And he's like a snake. He moves like a snake. He looks like a snake.
Well, I mean, he looks very different in this movie, that's for sure. He sounds an awful lot like you. Did Austin work with you to try and get the Harkonnen or Harkonnen voice?
No, he looked at a lot of my films to get it.
Really?
Yeah. So the first time he used it, I heard myself in a younger version.
That must have been amazing, though. Yeah. What was your favourite part about Rabban, the tantrums?
No, the tantrums are easy. My favorite part about Rabban is trying to convey that he is inherently a coward. That is where all his rage and anger and violence stems from. It's from an insecure place of him knowing that he's not smart, and his brother is better at him than everything, and that he desperately seeks approval from his uncle. So, and that's what makes him not your typical brute. It makes him a layered character. And so as a performer, that's my dream. Yeah.
And it really changes up with the introduction of Feyd-Rautha. What was that like having Austin on set?
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Because he's incredibly talented, and he's also just such a loving, genuine person. So it allows me to feel comfortable with him. And I know he's not judging me, so I don't feel self-conscious. And all of my inhibitions just go away, and I can just perform. And also because he is so talented, I can just be lost in that moment with him. Like we're just sucked into that scene. And then when they say cut, we're completely out of that scene. And we're laughing, we're having conversations, and that's what it is. I like the comfortability. I like people that I'm just super comfortable with, and we can go in and out of character and play with things and not feel judged, not have to feel self-conscious. So he made it really easy for me. He, with Denny, they brought out the best in me.
Now, the Baron is such an interesting character, and you really get to delve into all facets of who he is. If the Baron had any redeeming qualities, what do you think they would be?
Well, I think the redeeming quality is his sensuality. His passion for food and the good things in life, which I totally share with him.
Yeah.
But then redeeming, you can also say that he's playing by medieval rules, by Machiavellian rules, and according to those rules, he should to sustain power. He should use all means, like Henry VIII in the Renaissance.
In the first film, you obviously had very limited sets and interactions with other characters in the film. For part 2, was there someone that you finally were able to have a scene with that you didn't get to work with before?
Well, for the first time, in the end, I have a scene with Paul Atreides with Mr. Chalamet.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
But if you've read the books,
it is. Yeah, of course. It's the only thing I lived. Mostly, I've lived my Harkonnen life separately from the other characters. But Rabban and Feyd-Rautha, that's a good gang.
there are so many amazing actors in this movie. Right. Was there someone you weren't able to share a scene with that you felt like you really missed out?
Well, you know, I was in scenes with most everybody. I didn't get to interact with a lot of people. I would love to. I mean, there's not really anybody in the cast that I wouldn't like to interact with. But I'm a huge Javier Bardem fan, and I didn't get to share dialogue with him. Also, Christopher Walken. I mean, I grew up, admiring and looking up to and idolizing Christopher Walken. And so I'm in a scene with him, but I didn't get to really interact with him much. And Florence, I love Florence. So there's really even Timmy. Like I love Timmy, but we don't interact in the film.
Are you bummed you didn't get the sand action?
Yeah, of course. I mean, watching him on the sandworm, that was one of the coolest sequences I've seen in a long time.
How do you do it? Show me the techniques.
The techniques are crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, just like
did
that.
it. Wow. We just did it.
That's how I had my.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that cannot have been good on the back.
You also had something that was taken from you in the first film, and that was your musical moment. Mm-hmm. Now you can actually officially say that you have collaborated with Hans Zimmer.
With Hans Zimmer.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't want to get into the whole collaboration because he was traveling at the time, but I was like furiously writing and sending and writing and sending, and then he'd send me back like a picture of the Antarctic or something, and I'd be like, oh, that's wonderful, but what do you think of the thing? Focus. And then the music that he came up with was unbelievable. It makes me look like a musical genius.
Now you have to sing as Gurney. He's like the bard of the group.
Nah.
Yeah, how was that?
I did my best.
Are you good with pitch? If I can get it.
Okay, you do it.
There you go.
No, that sounds
You hit it.
horrible.
No, I think you got
it.
it.
Sounds like something's hurt. No, that was pretty good.
That was not bad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Googling.
Yeah.
I'm Googling Dune popcorn bucket. I don't understand what's happening.
Oh, you don't know about the AMC popcorn bucket?
No, I'm seeing something, but I'm not sure what's going on, what it is.
Yeah, you're supposed to put your hand in there and eat the popcorn.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I don't think they had an intern that had a, different mindset.
Interesting, how sensual.
Yes. Well, I mean, they do say you have to ride a sandworm to earn your spot, so...
Look at that. That's what happened back in the days with MGM, but thankfully we moved on.
Last time I spoke to you about this film, you said that the baths were not fun to film. That doesn't really change much in this movie. Did you put up a bit of a fight to try and expand outside of the sludge?
No, I sighed and I accepted my faith and I went in and I did it. I did those. I mean, I'm only shooting for 10 days or something. It's okay.
Is that it?
Yeah. It was very efficient.
What I love about this is that Denis basically lured you into part one, saying, part two, you're going to take off. We'll introduce you in part one, but part two is where it's at. And then you had the same thing. Come in part two, we'll introduce you.
But it's funny you say, Denis didn't have to convince me. I was the one. When I first heard that he was making this, and I watched this version, and I was like, oh, that's the character they're trying to cast. Okay, wait a minute. Hey, I know you don't know me, and I know you're not even casting this yet, because it was before they even started doing auditions or anything, but I was like, just want to put my name out there, and they were like, oh, we'll wait till we start auditioning people and everything, and I auditioned and did my chemistry read, and yeah.
Sealed the deal.
Sealed the deal.
You've got Jessica, his mother, who's, lifting him up and course correcting a lot of the time. And then Chani, who's making sure that he's not blowing up and keeps him grounded. And then Irulan ... We have to get a part 3, yes?
But the thing is that Florence Pugh came on board with the same promise that I did to Zendaya when Zendaya did part 1. I said, you will be, it will just be an introduction to your character, and if there's a second part, then your character will be absolutely prominent at the epicenter of the story. It's a bit the same thing with Florence. We introduce her character in part 2, and if there's a Dune Messiah adaptation, then she becomes one of the main. It's like how so.
When, not if. How bad do we need a part 3?
We're here, desperate for one.
Oh, I want to know what happens, I think it leaves on such a
I
note.
want to see those
This.
two have I want to be a fly on the wall
When
for the first conversation.
Yes, me too. I want to be there.
Oh my God.
Do you think Duncan, Idaho is going to be a big part of part 3?
I mean, I like
What's going on?
Thank you, God. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maude. Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
What is it? No, you're so fine. Totally fine. Do your thing. Did you
Did you
guys
get 'em?
purposely match?
Did you get the books?
Yes, got the books.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got
the
him.
books.
You got to sign it.
Okay.
Give me a little personalized note.
boys. I love
See ya. Just
Get
wanna
out
play
of
a
here. Yeah, man. You guys are together. Yeah. I'm gonna do this to you. I love you guys. Bye.
I'm going to call that Josh Brolin and the bromance.
That was cool.
Thanks so much for bombarding my interview with Josh Brolin. Appreciate that.
Could not.
Yeah.
Could not.
I heard you just got the book though, so I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that because I learnt
yeah.
about this book. How is it?
It's amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, they
So
did.
cool.
They did a version on the first one, but this one is even more streamlined. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when we went over to Josh's
Trailer.
flat that day?
The
And he
actual
showed
flat, he was
us.
already working
and
on
he
it.
was
You're
already
right.
working on it. We went
You're
to
right.
his apartment in
Yeah.
Hungary, and he was already
Totally
writing poetry and stuff.
Had not
Remember
thought of
that?
that moment
I
until
just
right now.
remembered that right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
How fun.
I think he was writing. I think he was working on a book, like his own book, right?
Yeah. And he was working on his own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
He's such a creative guy.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah. Memories.
That was cool.
What was the
I
books
just
you got
all
him?
I got him. Oh, look at me! I'm all nervous now. I got him a book. Me and Greg Fraser did a book of Greg's photographs, who's the DP on the movie, and my writing, and we put together from the first movie and the second movie a big thing, and it's going to be available February 13th. Yeah, for sale. But I just gave them their books, and
I saw it.
yeah.
That's
Obviously,
so
they
sweet.
liked them, so it was cool.